Jamaica Premier League. Review of the 2025-26 playoff stage. With the JPL regular season now completed, the top 6 teams who had qualified for the playoff stage to finally crown the JPL 2025-26 champion had been decided. The 4 teams finishing from 6th to 3rd go into the two-legged quarterfinal stage of the playoffs, while the top 2 teams in the regular season await the winners from the quarterfinals to play in the semi-final, with all fixtures including the final and third-place playoff to be played at the National Stadium. The 6 teams to qualify for the playoffs are as follows: 6th Racing United, 5th Cavalier, 4th Waterhouse, 3rd Portmore United, 2nd Mobay United, 1st Mount Pleasant. In the quarterfinals, Racing United, 6th, would play Portmore United, 3rd, with the winner going through to meet Mount Pleasant in the semis, and Cavalier, 5th, would play Waterhouse, 4th, to decide who will play Mobay United. In the head-to-heads that have taken place during the regular season between these two quarterfinal pairings, the Uniteds of Racing and Portmore couldn't be divided based on their 3 draws against each other, whilst Waterhouse got the better of Cavalier, winning 2 out of the 3 matches they played this season and drawing the 3rd. When the first leg of this season's quarterfinal matches was played, both matches ended in a draw, leaving the deciding second leg matches wide open. Portmore United, who based on their end-of-season form were the slim favourites if one had to be chosen, had started well in their first leg tie, going 2 goals up within 10 minutes courtesy of a brace from Portmore's top scorer this season, midfielder Ronaldo Robinson, before adding a 3rd goal early in the second half. Racing United were able to get onto the scorecard in the 59th minute but had to wait until the last 10 minutes before they could score further, producing 2 late goals to equalise in the match, making the final score 3-3, to be carried over into the deciding second leg. In the second quarter-final tie, Waterhouse, who were the favourites to overcome the reigning JPL champions based on the 3 regular season matchups, went about things in a positive manner, taking a 2-goal lead inside of 10 minutes. But Cavalier, whose end-of-season run-in had been stronger than Waterhouse's, were able to pull 1 goal back before half-time and went on to score the decisive equalising goal midway through the second half, the first leg ending in a 2-2 draw. Both second-leg matches would be more clear-cut, with Cavalier taking their first win of the 5 games that they had played against Waterhouse this season when it mattered the most, winning the match 2-0, to defeat Waterhouse in the tie 4-2 on aggregate and progress to meet Mobay United in the semi-final. In the other second-leg quarter-final tie, Portmore United were able to claim their first win against Racing United this season, after having drawn all 4 of their previous matches against them. Like in the first second-leg match, this game was also won by 2-0, Portmore taking the tie on an aggregate score of 5-3 and setting up a semi-final meeting with the Caribbean Cup champions, Mount Pleasant. The 2 semi-final ties to be played over 2 legs at the National Stadium were Mount Pleasant v Portmore United, and Mobay United v Cavalier. In the semi-final matchup between Mount Pleasant and Portmore United, Mount Pleasant was the clear favourite, having won 2 of the 3 matches they had played during the regular season, drawing in the only game between them that they didn't win. Putting your finger on either of the teams in the other semi-final was a little bit more complicated. Mobay United had come out on top in 2 of their matches during the regular season, whilst Cavalier had taken the first match between them. This would have normally put Mobay United in the front seat for being viewed as the favourites to win the tie, but the aggregate score over the 3 matches had them tied at 4 goals apiece. The significantly better form of Cavalier for the end-of-season run-in could also be considered to be a factor that would make them the favourites to go through to the final. The 2 teams that win these ties not only go through to the final but are also entered as Jamaica's 2 automatic representatives in the next instalment of the Caribbean Cup. The losers in the semi-finals get a chance to play in the third-place playoff match, with the winner qualifying for the next Caribbean Shield competition where, if they were to reach the final, they would also qualify for the Caribbean Cup competition. The semi-final first-leg matches were tightly contested affairs, being decided in both cases by a late goal for the 2-seeded teams in this stage of the competition. Mobay United came away with a 1-0 win to a fortunately one deflected own goal during added time after 90 minutes, whilst Mount Pleasant's winner came in the last 10 minutes, scored by last season's JPL top scorer Warner Brown, whose first season at Mount Pleasant could be described as having been disappointing when compared to the high standards that he had set in the previous campaign at Arnott Garden. With the teams in both ties separated by just one goal, even though the top two teams came out victorious in the first leg, it could by no means be seen as a done deal when it comes to which two teams make it to the final. In the first-second leg decider, it was the JPL champions Cavalier who were up against it, being already one goal down in the tie. After playing out a goalless first half, they managed to draw level in the tie early in the second half through their 18-year-old forward Kymely Scott scoring his second goal during the playoff stage. With both teams unable to score further inside of 90 minutes, the tie went into extra time, and it would be Kymely Scott who would again get himself onto the scoresheet with his third goal of the playoffs to put himself on top of the playoff scorers chart and win the tie for the champions 2-1 on aggregate to qualify for the JPL playoff final and gain entrance into next season's Caribbean Cup. Even though Mount Pleasant would be considered favourites in the second semi-final second leg match, with just a one-goal advantage to stand on, there would be no room for complacency. Portmore United appeared to be determined to prove this point, going 2 goals up in the first half, including another strike from Ronaldo Robinson, bringing his score tally during the playoffs to 3, joining Cavalier teenager Kymely Scott at the top of the playoff top scorers chart. But the opener from Tarek Ximenes was the most eye-catching, with an effort struck from just inside the attacking half to loop the helpless Tafari Chambers in the Mount Pleasant goal. Mount Pleasant were able to pull 1 goal back during the second half through the league's top scorer Raheem Edwards, enough to push the tie through into extra time. Portmore proved to be resolute in their desire to upset the odds and get their first win this season against the Caribbean champions, getting another goal at the end of the first period of extra time to put them in front again. But if they were going to get the win they wanted, it wasn't going to be an easy task against Mount Pleasant, who managed to level the tie for the second time in the game, minutes into the second period of extra time from the penalty spot. The final goal of the match would come midway through the second period when Portmore regained their 2-goal advantage on the night to go 4-2 ahead. Despite some strong offensive play from Mount Pleasant in their attempts to get back into the game, Portmore United were able to hold out to win the tie 4-3 on aggregate and progress to the final, where they will meet the current JPL champions Cavalier. Like Cavalier, this victory also ensures their admittance into the next Caribbean Cup competition. The two unlikely semi-final losers, Mount Pleasant and Mobay United, who were also the top two teams in the regular season, were to meet in the third-place playoff to decide which one of them would be the JPL team to be entered into the Caribbean Shield competition for next season. Mount Pleasant had to be considered the favourites in this match, winning 2 of their 3 games against Mobay United during the regular season after drawing 2-2 in their first meeting. The final was set to be a contest between the 2 top scorers of the playoffs up to this point, Ronaldo Robinson of Portmore United and Kymely Scott of Cavalier, who went into the final match on 3 goals each. Portmore United could have been considered more than capable of overcoming the challenge coming from the defending JPL champions to win the JPL title for what would be the first time since the 2018-19 season, because of them already being successful in taking 2 wins and a draw against them during the regular season. Cavalier will also be disadvantaged by not having their head coach Rudolph Speed for the final, as he was due to be away in London in his dual role preparing for the Reggae Boys' participation in the Unity Cup competition over there. Before the final 2 games of the JPL season were played, the 2 teams to be promoted into the JPL for next season were confirmed, with Humble Lions, who were relegated last season, being set to make an immediate return, and a team who will be JPL debutantes playing in Jamaica's top tier for the first time in their short 25-year history, True Juice. In the third-place match, Mount Pleasant, the Caribbean Cup champions, who would have been most bitterly disappointed not to have made it into the JPL final, broke the deadlock late in the first half with a goal from their Haitian-born striker Angelo Exelis. But Mobay United was able to pull one back midway through the second half, just 5 minutes before having one of their players sent off for a dangerous high boot incident, giving their already dangerous opponents an opportunity that they were certain to take advantage of, leading to a dramatic last 10 minutes of the game. Mount Pleasant went ahead again on the night, in the 83rd minute before being pegged back by Mo Bay within 2 minutes. But moments later Angelo Exelis would strike again, scoring his second goal of the game and putting his team 3-2 in front to ultimately take the third-place spot and qualify them for the Caribbean Shield competition next season. The drama would continue going into the final, with the slim favourites Portmore United going 1-0 up in the 4th minute through Ronaldo Robinson, his 4th goal of the playoffs. But the player that he had been pitted against in this match, Kymely Scott, was not to be outdone, and he would reply with a first-half brace to put Cavalier 2-1 up at half-time and bring his playoff goal tally up to 5. The tightly fought nature of the match would continue into the second half, divided only by the 60th minute equaliser for Portmore United from Tarek Ximenes, his 3rd goal of their playoff campaign. With the game ending in a 2-2 draw, it was decided on penalties, with Portmore United coming out on top, winning the shootout 5-3 to be crowned the JPL champions for 2025-26. Runners-up Cavalier, who along with Portmore United also go through to the Caribbean Cup competition, can boast the playoffs' top scorer in the young Kymely Scott, who it would seem on this kind of form has a bright future ahead after his 5 goals in the 5 games they played. Reigning Caribbean Cup champions, Mount Pleasant can still get a chance to defend their title if they were to be able to sweep through their opponents in next season's Caribbean Shield in similar fashion to how they did in this season's Caribbean Cup to eventually qualify for the CONCACAF Champions Cup and get the opportunity to test themselves against top MLS opposition. Days after the completion of the JPL season, the draw for the group stage of next season's Caribbean Cup took place, putting both Portmore United and Cavalier into Group B, where they will also come up against the 2 Dominican Republic teams in the tournament as well as the Caribbean Shield champions. This could mean that all 3 Jamaican teams will compete in the same group, as Mount Pleasant will be considered strong favourites to take the Caribbean Shield title.